So today I'm in this village in Marche, Italy, and the clients are having trouble selling their house. So I'm here to investigate what is happening and what is actually blocking any potential buyer in actually purchasing this property.
When there is somebody else on another dimension in the house, you don't feel it's your house. I felt that I was almost treading, or in a way almost trespassing on their space, and I could never make it my own.
Yeah.
But when you have a house that is totally yours, you spread yourself into the walls, into the very fabric of the house, and it becomes your extended space.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I couldn't do that here.
When potential buyers come to view the house, they never seem to want to come back. When speaking with the clients, the owners here, they tell me about cooking smells that are in the entrance hall where the fireplace is, which apparently was the original kitchen area upstairs. And they get a sense that when they leave to go out or go back to England, the old residents actually move back in and continue as if they still own the house.
I decided to call the House Whisperer because we bought this house a year ago, and from the moment we stayed here the first night, we realized we were not alone. My partner had a psychic attack the first night. I saw people as soon as I closed my eyes, and although they weren't necessarily malevolent, I wasn't comfortable with the energy. I wasn't comfortable with the fact that we were living with an extended family from another dimension, having had that many times before. So we called the House Whisperer after several visits here to try and live with the astral visitors, who actually didn't seem to want to live with us. They made it very plain that they had prior claim to the house, that it was their house. And every night, one of the main occurrences which really began to be obtrusive was the fact that every night at about 6-7 o'clock we would come upstairs, which were their living quarters, to an amazingly strong smell of roast lamb, which pervaded the whole of the house. And it was almost comical, the fact that they would roast the lamb as we arrived or after we had smudged the house, which was a sort of a tit for tat I felt it was a tit for tat. So we exhausted all avenues of trying to find a physical reason for the roasting smells. We checked that nobody was cooking downstairs. We checked that maybe that the wind had blown in a specific direction where it would bring down old smells from the chimney, which was not the case. We thought maybe the neighbors were cooking, and that was definitely not the case. But the cooking smells prevailed nearly every night when we were here. And as a vegetarian, I found them quite offensive, but my partner loves roast meat, and believe me, the smell of roast lamb was very pungent. And it was their way of saying, we're here, and this is our house, and we're here to stay, because alongside with the cooking smell, alongside with the roast meat smell, there was a very hostile energy. It actually made my hair stand on end. You know, it wasn't friendly, it wasn't benign.
So after having walked around the house, I very clearly get this sense that there is an old family living here, grandfather, grandmother, 2 young girls, and there is a secret in the air, and I need to investigate further as to what that is, because I believe it is holding the key to why people aren't wanting to buy this house. The more I tuned into the situation and the story here, I do get such a strong sense that the two young girls, and I can see them dressed in white frilly dresses, I get a strange sense that he actually fathered them with another woman. Also, I do get a very strong sense that he also sexually abused these girls, and this does not feel good. And I do think that this is the secret that this house is holding, and is creating quite a lot of problems for the people living here. And the question here is, why is this family stuck? We do find that when there is a trauma, whether it's through abuse or an accident, death, that trauma, that situation can actually lock in a soul into a building. And where people have lived and it's familiar to them, that's where they will congregate. And that's what I sense this family is doing. They are still up in that front room where the fireplace is, and they are continuing to live there as if they've always been there, because they are, in a sense, stuck in that time frame, that time warp. And my work as a house whisperer is to unlock the energy matrix to allow them to actually see the reality of where they are and enable them to release and let go of what is keeping them there. And that may very well mean a process of forgiveness on both sides, perhaps, as to what happened, so that that can just release them from that distress, that trauma that happened in that family.
So, having had the experience myself of space clearing, I would go around the rooms chanting and burning incense and invoking various angelic beings who I work with. But the entity really had a problem with that. The feeling of hostility was immense every time I tried to use any of my methods. And I got a sense, and more than a sense sometimes, of a real chauvinistic hostility to women. And there was almost a sense of, who do you think you are? The Roman Catholic Church are in charge here, and we're men orientated. And you should go back and do your cooking. So that's when I realized, okay, well, I need male help here. I need the house whisperer to come and clear this rather chauvinistic energy. So during the process of the clearing, when Christian was actively working, I was obviously with him, and I got a very strong sense of the grandfather as who it was, basically trying to invoke my sympathy. And at one point I saw him looking at me and saying, he was leaning on a stick and he was going, I've got such a bad hip, I can hardly walk. And he was trying to invoke, the female sympathy and in a way fob me off. That was the feeling I had, and that was the feeling that Christian definitely got. So, but that obviously didn't work, because we needed to talk to him. He needed to have a man talking to him. He needed to have a man-to-man conversation. After the clearing, we left upstairs to its own devices for a little while, and then went back up to feel how the energy felt. And it was really clear, empty. It echoed, which it hadn't done before, and there was no sense of any intrusion on any level at all. It just felt like it was our house, actually, probably for the first time. And this morning the same. We woke up and it just felt, this is nice. Now we can own the whole of the house and go from here. If we decide to sell, and we probably do, then we are now optimistic that the right buyer will come and not be put off by any energetics that they might feel consciously or unconsciously. So yes, we're very happy. To me this morning the house looks bigger, like it's expanded. I used to drive down, and my first view and feeling of the house was that it was haunted. It was always a feeling that it had a shroud of grey around it, a film almost around it, like it was in a time warp. But it actually seems to have expanded this morning. It looks clearer and bigger from the outside.
So having released this family and spirit that were clearly stuck in this past time frame, hopefully that anybody who comes now to view the house won't be sensing that there is already somebody else living here, as was the case before. And that will enable the house to release and sell fairly quickly. So let's see what happens.